back and tune in. You know, you can't do your cooking unless you have, you know, KBBG on, you know, and you know that certain shows are going to be on. But you listen via the internet, and we have many listeners around the world who are tuning in over the internet to listen to us, and so it's really good to hear that you have at least a taste of home, you know, wherever you go, you know, so that we'll have to give you more shout outs as you go over there to Romania. Yeah.
Whoever would have thought, as a little girl, did you ever think that you'd be doing what you're doing today?
No, ma'am.
Isn't that something? Well, you certainly have made us proud. We're very proud of you and your accomplishments, and I'm glad that you could take time to come by. This is our fundraiser for the station, and we've been in broadcasting, as you know, longer than you
Longer than she's been on.
Longer than you are old. Yes, so, you know.
I remember the old station.
Yes.
I even moved up here.
That's right. Oh, you were just like this.
I
when
was
we were at the
small,
old
but I knew
station.
exactly
Yes,
where it was because I
yeah.
had to go down the stairs.
That's
and
right.
everything.
Those stairs, everybody remembers those stairs.
I know,
Taking you
I
down, down,
My
down.
son was about this big, and we had just moved here, and he wanted to know where we were going, and I kept saying a radio station. I don't know what was in his mind. I don't even know if he was 5 at the time, but whatever was in his mind was not what we encountered, you know. And I said, "That's okay. Come on down. Come on down." You know.
Now I do want to touch on the rap thing.
Okay.
Sure.
A lot of people know me as a record producer.
That's right. That's right.
And the first project that actually came out, well, the first project I played on that was actually published and released was actually an R&B song that KBBG put in rotation by a band called The Cubs. It was my older brother, Leroy Worthy Jr. But the second published release, actually produced and played on, was actually a rap album called Shock the World. And KBBG did support it. And it was a rap album, but what we did in our hip-hop, we were old school hip-hop.
Yeah.
Hip-hop was fun. We weren't talking about,
Exactly.
speeds and cussing and none of that, because one, we were raised in a household where
Better than that.
you get a whooping.
That's
You know,
right.
you get a
Yeah.
too, but you
That's
still get a
right.
whooping. So,
Yeah.
we knew, two, we wanted to make our parents proud, so we felt that if our parents and our younger siblings and nieces and nephews couldn't listen to it, that wasn't what we wanted out there. And so KBG did support it. It was a rap album. They supported some of the R&B. Well, it was a hip hop and R&B album, and KBBG did support the material. But the stance against rap music, I understood, because at that time that we came out, there was the whole gangster rap movement that was starting.
Oh, yeah.
And so you were starting to get a proliferation of so much negative put into rap music that it looked like the major record labels started kind of pushing away any of the fun or socially conscious rap artists. They started kind of shelving them.
I think people need to recognize, though, you indicate that you were in control of what you put out.
Yes.
And that makes a huge difference. Now, we talked about images, so let's bring this around. Because in the music industry, the commodification of rap became the whole focus of the music industry that's white-owned, basically.
Yes.
And setting those images of blacks by blacks was an important part of what they did to commodify this whole thing. And everybody, the youngsters who started with the gangster rap, was only worried about getting paid.
Exactly.
They weren't even worried about the impact of their music at that time.
Right.
At that time. And so to control your image actually gives you the wherewithal to control what you write, what you sing, and what you produce. When you don't have that control, hey, you have people who will say, go out there and tell people you're a monkey.
Exactly.
You know, or go out there and tell people that da-da-da-da-da, you know, and you do it because you're worried about materialism and getting paid as opposed to the message. Back in the day when that gangster rap came
And see,
on.
we were an independent label at the time, and so, yeah, we had control of what we wanted to write, produce, and record and put out there. Whereas I had another relative who was referred to signing a major deal with his rap group, and they were more of a public enemy type. They were a socially conscious type group, but their deal required them to set that aside and more adopt the NWA
That's right.
style.
Yeah.
And so they were like us, they were about their art and their craft, so they said, you know, this isn't a big deal for us. Yeah, we would be on MTV and BET, but this isn't what we're about. We're about our art form, so they actually walked away from that deal.
Yeah, yeah.
That's, people don't
You
know
know,
things like that.
I think one of the best books to understand what happened to that industry is a book entitled, is it Black Rose? It's by Trisha, maybe it's Trisha Rose, but she did a whole early on book on rap music, I think, that really explicates the politic and the economics of rap music. I got a collection on rap music and books. I should fess up to this because I have thought about doing a course. I had thought about doing a course on campus where people could really come to understand the industry and understand how our images were being purposefully manipulated for the good of other people and not necessarily for our own good.
Exactly.
You know.
And you know, Dr. Clayton, I've even heard that.
Trisha
You know,
Rose is the
it's-
author's name.
It's also profitable in the prison industrial complex.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Because, you know, one, it's a heavily purchased, you know, art form. And then two, those messages are trying, you know, youngsters are a lot of times trying to replicate what they hear and see in those messages, which in turn lands them into the prison industrial complex. So
Yeah.
now they're making money, you know,
Yeah.
both ways.
But you know, and then, but the bigger purchasers of this music is basically young white folks.
Yes.
That's who's spending the music, and so
That's
they're.
their form of rebellion.
But I had a student from Georgia, outside of Russia, really argued me down last semester because what he knew about black people basically came from rap music that he had heard in Georgia,
Yep.
and I could not convince him, you know, about the history of rap, nor did I try, but he was so prejudiced against blacks as a consequence of what he knew, and he knew a lot of artists now, you know, but this whole notion of who and what we are as a people, other people are picking up on that, and if they know no better, they begin to believe. So Lou, you open a can of worms, but
Well, you know what?
but I think we need to talk about the impact of music on our consciousness
Yes.
and on what it may allow us to do or not do, because it restricts the images that we have of ourselves. And many of the guys who are out there singing about being strapped and doing all this, that's not their life.
No, not at all.
That's just what they do to make money.
Exactly.
Exactly,
You
and
know?
as the
And our young people don't understand
and
that.
they make sure, the people who actually support the music, unable to like really get a decent education, but the artists themselves, they make sure that their children
Oh,
go
absolutely.
to the elitist schools in the United States.
mhm.
They're going to
Oh,
get
yeah.
a fabulous education.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it kind of comes back to this ability to communicate, to be a producer, to be a writer. But when you have, because this industry is about communication. So when we say, oh, wish we had like more black writers, more producers. So it's like, again, if you don't do well in school or only get an opportunity to be exposed to uninterrupted education when you're in the penal system, that is very, very, unfair. So it's like using art, music, as a way to distract or trying to like even the field, and there's no such thing as evening like when people try to neutralize the impact of the word nigger. Well, if everybody's saying it, then it has no effect. Not, because that one word encapsulates the entire enslavement experience. That one word.
And it
okay?
spills over to the images of all blacks and not just that one nigga you're talking to, you know? And you gotta keep that in mind. But, folks, we're shapers of images here at KBBG radio station, and we're asking that you join us in membership by calling 234-1441 so that these kind of conversations can continue in our community, because you are not going to hear this conversation or anyone like this on any other outlet in this community. So, I just wanted to stop you because there's so much you guys have put on the table. We started out Now, see, we can do this. We started out at 10 saying that we would do 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I keep looking at the clock and looking at Lou, and now, you know, we're like 40 minutes in.
And there's no reason why we can't continue. That's what
That's
it,
power,
you
isn't
know,
Yes.
it really pays, but you have to be in control.
Yes.
You can't control something you don't own.
Exactly.
And
That's right.
That's the concept that I keep trying to say to our community, both black and white. The radio station, and of course I'm prejudiced, I really am toward KBBG because I believe in what we do here. I mean, I believe it with every fiber of my being, that this has been a good thing, that Jimmy's vision was on target. In the last 20 years, we've seen one thing after another to become what he predicted it was going to be. Politics, about health, about every subject that we had concerns about. And I think that if we don't understand, though, that it takes a certain responsibility, a certain commitment, just like when you bring children into the world. Now
Yes.
the child is here, child needs taken care of.
Mhm.
KBBG is here, left by Jimmy Porter, his legacy, and what he wanted for his people, to have a voice in order to search for solutions that would give them a better life, and give the children a better life. But someone has to pay for that. And
Yes.
so we're saying to you that this is a fundraiser for KBBG. It's very important. I hope that none of you who hear the sound of our voices here will take that for granted, or just think, well, somebody else will do it, you know.
Right.
$35 is basic membership, and there are other levels as well. And as Dr. Clayton said before, any time is the right time to give to KBBG, and that's one of the reasons why we went to the year-round membership, because we felt that